Castrated and mutilated. So this is the language that is always used by transphobes when they're talking about gender-affirming surgeries. Guys, Matt Walsh decided to talk to Tennessee Democrats and tried very, very hard to make the case against trans kids, against kids being allowed to have things like puberty blockers, against kids being allowed to have their proper pronouns used when referring to them. And I wouldn't say that went too terribly well for him. But let's go ahead and take a look at the fan art section first, and then we'll take a listen to Matt Walsh as he talks to a bunch of Democrats. But first, this first piece of fan art is from Sir Aaron the Gay. Hello, I'm new here. I wanted to work on my sprite editing skills, so here is Slime Girl Suris wearing Nepeta's outfit. Sprite used was Nepeta from PesterQuest. I swear, all of you... I don't know how I attracted all of the Homestucks, but I attracted all of the Homestucks. Star-Lord, thank you very much for the $10. Yo, just wanted to say Valentine's Day sucks, and I can say it because it's my birthday. Great stream, by the way. Well, thank you very much, Star-Lord. I appreciate it. The next one we have is from Axo that has cream. No, bad slime. I need that. This is what happens when the slime consumes your math. Are you literally going to be like, hey, a slime girl consumed my math homework? Jesus. My math. I ate it. I ate it all. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, let's go ahead and get to the topic at hand after you hit the subscribe button. And also, you know, after you go ahead and hit the bell notification icon, please hit the bell. Anyways, let's go and take a listen.
Can you give us a summary of your educational background or your healthcare education?
I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read, so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I've done.
And for what purpose do you conduct?
I like how fucking dismissive and condescending Matt Walsh is here, with literally no reason to be so.
Your research and use this brain of yours.
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated.
You don't use it to get
castrated and mutilated. So this is the language that is always used by transphobes when they're talking about gender-affirming surgeries. Gender-affirming surgeries that, by and large, are not happening on minors. There are some cases where somebody who's 16 or 17 gets a top surgery or even a bottom surgery, but generally it doesn't happen in the United States. That usually tends to happen overseas. It's not a thing that really happens here in the States to any real measurable degree. You can call any kind of surgery, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, you can call any kind of surgery mutilation. Any at all. I had appendicitis, and I needed my appendix removed. You know what that was? It was mutilating my belly button. I haven't had the ability to see the little, like, stub of my belly button ever since I had my appendix removed, because they literally dug through my belly button to take my appendix out. That could be seen as mutilation, and technically, by the strictest definition, it is. You mutilate the body in order to remove a thing that is killing it. Removing the thing that's killing the body can even be considered its own type of mutilation. This is loaded language that is always used by Walsh and other people like him when they are trying to charge people against trans kids, or against trans people in general.
Clicks.
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
This thing right here, when he says, hey, are you sure you're not just using your brain to get... Basically, he's calling Matt Walsh out. Matt is not actually a defender of children or anything like that. Matt is literally just a guy on the internet trying to make money. I'm a guy on the internet trying to make money as well. I have a channel. I think that the things I advocate for on my channel are better. Therefore, I think that the way I make money off of my channel is maybe a little more ethical than Matt Walsh. But functionally, you can consider Matt and me in the same category here. We, as content creators, have a job, and that job is to get clicks on our channel, period. So piercings are permanent mutilations done for nothing more than aesthetics. Where's the conservative outrage towards Claire's for letting me get my ears pierced when I was a kid in kindergarten? Jesus. And yes, I did have my appendix removed. So do we have any more likes from chat? Matt, impregnating 16-year-olds is good, actually. Walsh, speaking about child safety. Yup. But no, like pointing out that, hey, I understand that you may see yourself as an advocate for truth and anything, but at the end of the day, you're just a content creator. Your job is not so important that you can call yourself some kind of champion for justice. And it's really fucking cringe to try to do so. You can point out the positive or negative effects that somebody has on the outside, but to call yourself that, kind of weird. But let's go.
You know, if you're going to come before a committee and make mischaracterizations and misrepresentations, it's fair game for us to ask you your educational background.
You seem to have started this, so you have...
So they didn't show the interaction that Matt had afterwards here. And I'm not super okay with that, but let's go ahead and continue.
no medical background, correct?
No.
You're trying to address good public policy, correct?
Yes.
I just have to question, some of your public policy. Singapore is able to have nice things in part because they execute drug dealers by hanging and arrest even petty vandals and thieves and beat them with a cane until they bleed. We don't have nice things here because we aren't willing to do what is required to maintain them. I kind of have to question your public policy beliefs. And you also stated there'd been no studies. Well,
I'm gonna pause him right there. This is honestly a really interesting tactic that's used. Now, technically, what he's doing is a form of whataboutism. So technically what he's doing right here is a bit of a fallacy, because things that Matt Walsh is saying could be true or false, irrespective of other public policy that he's advocated for. However, it is still important to show a committee the context with which Matt Walsh speaks about public policy. And when Matt Walsh literally advocates for capital punishment, literally advocates for beating people who steal, ignoring the material conditions that can cause people to feel the need to steal, or not even feel the need, but literally need to steal to survive, then it's completely valid to bring all of that up. It is valid to bring that up. So nice things enforced by violence, those aren't nice things. Yeah, but let's get to the next part here.
You also stated there'd been no studies. Well, I'm sitting here holding a study from the American Academy of Pediatrics, suicidal disparities between transgender and cisgender adults and children. Before you state things, you may need to know all the facts.
On your blog,
I know that, again, they're not showing Matt Walsh's response to that. I'm curious what his response actually would be, though, when somebody says there are no studies on X, Y, or Z. In this case, trans kids, trans suicide rates as they change, moving from child into adulthood, and then being literally shown and told, actually, that's a study that we have. It's right here. I have that thing. It is valid to point out that a man who is not educated, like a doctor is, on these subjects, and who's actually got a political bias that he has to serve because that's what the Daily Wire requires. Yeah, maybe he's not the best person to be looking at when it comes to public policy decisions.
about 16, you're an adult who's mature and can make decisions. You're that at 16. I don't care what anybody says, even going so far as to say when you're 16, you should be married and pregnant. 16 is an adult in your view. Why does this bill have minor defined as 18?
I was a radio host 13, 14 years ago in my early 20s. It's also not an accurate reflection of what I actually said. I was talking about the fact that people tended to marry young historically, and that's all that was about. How does that relate to this?
To all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls.
I like how the immediate, like, that's not what I said, you're taking what I said out of context, and then we actually, like, hear what he says in context, which is this.
Girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way. Girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile. Recently, in the last 30 years or so, we decided that's way too young to start a family. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy, it's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society.
The problem for Matt Walsh is that he's not just advocating for kids to get pregnant, he's also advocating for kids to be locked into a legally binding agreement with somebody that can cause you to lose a large majority of your house, your funds, your livelihood the minute it doesn't work out. And let me tell you right now, 17 is a bit early to be considering marriage. Hell, in a lot of cases, even 21 is a bit early to be considering marriage. You have not experienced a shit ton of life. You've not experienced everything that you can that could let you know whether or not you're ready to sit down and settle down. Some people do it, and there's nothing wrong with the people who do it, but to say that, like, this is a norm that people should be striving for, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I agree. I don't. But Matt Walsh chimed in on this, saying, whoops, you guys accidentally edited all of those clips and spliced them together to remove most of my responses. I'm sure it was a simple oversight. Here's the full interactions. You're welcome. I like how this is less time than the other one, so we're going to pretend that this is also not edited.
Can you give us a summary of your educational background or your healthcare education experience?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
My experience in healthcare?
Your educational background. I'm just curious. You've testified as to a lot of your own research. So I'm curious for what purpose you do that and what background you have to qualify you to speak to that.
Well, my
Mr.
background
Walsh.
that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul. And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience. Also, I did. Now, it's true. I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read, so I can read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I've done.
Representative Clemens, you're
And
recognized.
for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you're recognized.
I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the things I try to do.
You don't use it to.
Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't use it to get clicks on your
Let's state that.
publication.
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction?
On,
No, I really like the
Mr.
idea
Walsh.
of getting of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing.
Okay, so the difference between the politician and Matt Walsh that needs to be understood here, the difference between the person on the board and Walsh, is that Walsh literally needs clicks to survive. His livelihood relies on getting clicks on his channel. His livelihood relies on people responding to the things that he does on his channel. Whereas people who are in the committee, their jobs are more closely related. Their jobs are more closely related to the actual stuff at hand, like the actual things that Matt Walsh is trying to advocate for and against. But the extra context did not add a whole lot there. It really didn't. I guess that video's getting cut off a little early. Insert end of the video tagline here.